Hello, everybody. My name is Bruce Montgomery, and this is my colleague, Tracy Priest.
Hello, everybody.
And we're with The Road to Retail. On our podcast, Tracy and I hope to offer tips, insights, ideas, and examples for how small, emerging, and challenger CPG, consumer packaged goods, brands can build their business. Everything from determining if you're ready to grow, where to start, how to prove it online, how to go about securing distribution at a national retailer, driving your business with the end consumer, and how to go about finding an investor if that's important to you. The bottom line is, we would love to help you be successful by highlighting the many important factors that go into establishing and growing your brand.
Bruce and I have been working in CPG commercial operations for over 30 years, working on brands of all sizes. By commercial operations, we mean sales, marketing, trade marketing, new product development, broker and distributor management, new product development, brand M&A, and financing. As a part of our show, we bring our guests that are brand founders and leaders, agencies, Amazon specialists, sales agents, contract manufacturers, retailers, and investors to discuss their experiences and share their insights with the audience.
To keep up with the show, please subscribe to the Road to Retail podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Leave us a review and consider sharing the show with a friend or colleague that may benefit from the content. You can also check out our website to learn more at www.road2retail.com and follow The Road to Retail on LinkedIn. We would love to have you along for the ride. Looking to scale or launch your supplement or skincare brand? Eagle Labs Incorporated, based in Florida, offers full-service NSF-certified contract manufacturing of capsules, tablets, powders, liquids, gummies, and lotions. All of their manufacturing takes place in the USA. From R&D and formulation to packaging and fulfillment, Eagle Labs provides scalable, high-quality production that meets FDA and NSF standards. To learn more, contact Michael Law, Chief Commercial Officer at Eagle Labs at michael.law@eaglelabsinc.com, EAGLELABSINC, Michael Law, eaglelabs.com, or text him at 203-242-6417.
So Bruce, tell us about our newest sponsor.
Glad to, Tracy. Tired of getting crushed by chargebacks each time your brand sells product? From dealing with hundreds of forms that all look different to fighting tooth and nail to get repays, managing deductions is tough work. And you're almost certainly leaving money on the table. Fortunately, there's a solution. Floret was built to help brands like yours. With Floret's software platform, you can automate your deductions workflow, get insight into your trade spend, and even have your deductions disputed for you. Whether you're a scrappy young brand trying to break into retail or an established supplier looking to get sharper on trade, Floret will put money back in your pocket. We've saved brands hundreds of thousands of dollars this year alone. Visit www.tryfloret.com to book a demo and learn more. That's www.tryfloret.com.
Again, we encourage you to subscribe to our iTunes or Spotify channel at Road, 2 Retail.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us on the latest episode of The Road to Retail. Tracy Priest, my good friend, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Very excited about this episode today, Bruce. So great to see you, and tell our audience who we have today.
Today, we're very lucky to be joined by John Nunziato. John is the founder and chief creative officer at a great firm in New York called Little Big Brands. For those longtime listeners, one of John's colleagues, Richard Palmer, was on a couple of years ago. And John is frankly here to clean up Richard's mess and set the record straight for all the things that may have been erroneous. But John, thank you so much for your time today and joining us here.
Thanks, Bruce. Tracy, thanks so much for the intro. Appreciate that as well. Nice to
Great,
meet you.
great. So before we jump into the expansion of your firm's capabilities, why don't you just give the group a little background on yourself and how you ended up at Little Big Brands and founding the place?
Yeah. Well, long story, I'll keep it short. Um, After graduating Syracuse University, worked at some fabulous brand agencies. They were called package design agencies at the time, when there were package design agencies and corporate design agencies, which all came together as brand agencies, as you know, mostly through the combination of like an interbrand, and a lot of agencies were purchased and combined. And I thought that was interesting. It gave me a broader spectrum of brands to work on over the years, which was absolutely fantastic. Worked at some incredible agencies, gained a wealth of experience, and made some amazing friends. And over the years, right after 2001, I decided to start the agency. So left the business that I had been working with for the agency I was with for 6, 7 years, left my friends and went out on my own.
Love to hear
Well,
that.
that's great. Trace?
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your initial idea for Little Big Brands, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about your expanded services with Bruce here, but tell us a little bit about the idea that you initially had forming and creating Little Big Brands.
Sure. Yeah, I came from a great agency. We were working primarily on package design. That's what I cut my teeth in the industry. Originally, I went to school for advertising and filmmaking. So I was interested in making films, being a director, and always loved the design as well. I left primarily because I felt that the timing was right. I have a gut instinct when it comes to business, the timing of brands, when things should hit. I feel sometimes I'm like ahead of the curve, which can make people nervous. I'm more of a visionary, and it felt right to me. It was right after September 11th. I felt that the world was a kinder, gentler place, and I didn't strategically start a business because of that, but I did see an opening for a more gentler way to potentially start a business. I had tried starting a business a few years before that, about 6, 7 years before that. I was not experienced and not ready to start a business at that time. So I had dabbled in it. This felt right to me. And I really wanted to open an agency that was less about timesheets, more about thinking and caring for brands, no matter how much time I had to put into the product or the hours I was putting in on that. The agency I was at had shifted a little bit more toward timesheets and profitability, and it just didn't feel right to me.
Well, that's it's interesting that you kind of had a practice run at entrepreneurship and probably filled the bucket a little bit of things you were going to do differently the second time around. So, a lot of people, John, you guys have done such great work in package design and you've already touched on it. So tell us a little bit about the business building services your agency now offers and why you felt that time was right to step out of the discipline package design that you guys obviously kick ass in.
Yeah, sure. Um, I think over the years we've gotten real good at package design. Um, I've seen it evolve from, look, when I started out, I was drawing up mechanicals with a red and blue pencil. And then I got to work on a Mac SE that I think had two megabytes on a floppy disk. So I've seen it since the beginning. I've seen the increase in speed and thinking and accessibility to imagery, programs, and just an amazing group of talent that's out there. I've worked with some of the best people, and we got real good at it. We're good at understanding what brands need, how they need to evolve, evolving them respectfully, or creating and filling a niche from scratch, whether that's naming or strategy or package design or logo design or adding SKUs, whatever that might be. We got real good at it. And I felt that within the industry and the world, that the interwebs were lagging behind the ability to create advertising that could work outside of television media. I had the idea to integrate advertising into the brand agency over 15 years ago. And it was difficult. I think all we had at the time was YouTube, somewhere around that time period. And the internet, quite frankly, just it wasn't fast enough. The speeds weren't right. We couldn't run video, and there weren't platforms that could really handle it. So we struggled. We put it to bed, and I revisited it about 7 years ago, 7 years ago, and we slowly put the wheels in motion. And I can get into more detail on how I made that decision and how we do it and how we continue to do it. But I saw an opportunity and put it in motion. About 3 years, we've been plugging away at developing advertising, brand-led advertising.
Well, that's where we're going next. Tracy?
Good segue.
Yeah, so talk to us a little bit, our audience is small, challenger, emerging brands. So talk to us about how creative starts with clarity, positioning, and purpose.
Yeah, I guess for a small audience, I understand that typical, whether it's like a real small brand or even a real small brand agency, might not have a strategy component to it. And look, for years, I had none. We didn't have a strategist. We had designers and good thinkers. I've always considered myself a hybrid strategist. I got to work with great strategy people over the years. I was always excited about the strategy behind design, especially global brand design. I had been a designer on everything, from Burger King, global brand identity, a bunch of global brands before and after that. And that always really excited me on how you could build the program out. Strategy is really integral these days for brands if they can handle, the cost and the timing of that. As a small agency or a small brand, can you do it without strategy? Absolutely, if you're a really good thinker, if you're taking small steps. But if you truly want to reach the market or the segment of people that you're trying to speak to, you need a solid strategy behind that. I think with some of the newer tools, AI, available to a lot of agencies who didn't have brand strategists, they can certainly be one very, very quickly. Now, it doesn't mean they can do what a real true brand strategist has, like we have at LBB, and our team is absolutely amazing. But it can be a kickstart, right? It can be a kickstart for a small client that doesn't have a big budget, or an agency that doesn't have an incredible staff like we do, to at least give them somewhat of a foundation to start on.
Yeah. Hey, John, before we press on, when we had our pre-call before getting you here on the show, you made an interesting comment I have from our notes. And you said, brand first, ego last, why strategy still beats abstraction. Can you give us a little color on that? I thought that was a really juicy comment.
Yeah. I think a lot of brands have tripped up on their own ego over time. We've seen brand snafus. We call it, we've been joking, like, we're not going to Cracker Barrel you. Like, we get that. We know what we're going to do. We're not going to get Cracker Barreled. And before that, it was, the Tropicana, right? We can go back to mistakes. And look, they happen once in a while. I get it. I've always felt that if you've taken the time to build a brand, and a brand just doesn't, you don't plant a seed and this perfect brand grows, right? It's a garden full of weeds and mistakes and twists and turns, and you got to find your path. If you've grown a brand and you've taken the time to take the head punches and the gut punches and make all of those mistakes, I think you have to stay the course with what's working for your brand. It doesn't mean you can't be, a little bit maverick and take some chances. I mean, I always do. I always say if you make a mistake, you should make at least 5 mistakes on your brand, yearly, right? Like, why not take a shot at it, but don't completely change the brand. Keep working stick with what works for the brand, but be open and communicate with your brand loyalists that you might take some chances along the way. You know what I mean? Get ahead of it and say, like, hey, we're going to be trying something out. Doesn't mean we're changing it, but have a look for it. We'd like your feedback. We'd like to know what you think. It's a new scent, and it's a new flavor, it's a new whatever that might be. Rather than just sort of shock people with, like, here's my latest, greatest, newest, coolest thing, and we completely change the brand. What do you think?
Yeah.
Right. And so there's a fine balance. And that's why I think, I'm hired a lot for brand character evolution, some really big brand character evolutions like Chicken of the Sea, global brand evolutions. There's a talent to it and a nuance to having control over how you evolve the brand, and always having your ego in check, right? You know who you are, where you'd like to be and evolve, and you should be evolving and changing, but do it respectfully and with good reason, with good support, strategic backing as to why you're making those changes.
That makes sense for sure.
Yeah, thanks. So, John, many of the brands in our audience are under the impression that most advertising and marketing agencies are just financially out of reach for them to work with. One of the things Tracy and I like to do is bring on guests like yourself to kind of help demystify these things a bit. Can you speak to the fact that you don't necessarily have to have Visa or Coca-Cola budgets in order to work with people that actually know what they're doing?
Yeah. Well, I think first thing that the internet was proof of concept, right? So when we have platforms that were able to handle and run video, maybe it was Facebook a little bit initially, maybe Instagram. I think they're both graveyards these days. TikTok, right? Obviously, we can work with video content, and it's advertising king. I think proof of concept was that there are preteens and teens making ads these days, right? Using a CapCut and throwing together images. I've got a daughter who does that. She whips up ads in, I don't know, 7-8 minutes sometimes, and they're really good. And so, what happened was I think advertising took a turn, right? We were used to seeing really glossy advertising on television, which is expensive, or Super Bowl ads. People always think when we talk about, hey, would you like to, develop an ad for this? They think like, I don't have Super Bowl money. Well, guess what? You're not hiring a dozen Clydesdales to like run your energy, drink down the road, right? That's not what we're doing. And so I think the speed of internet, that some of the platforms, I wish we had more platforms other than just, a TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. It would be nice if there were more choices. I think really led the charge. And so we, fortunately, I've always had my eye on developing advertising for brands. And I felt that brand agencies have such a good insight on the strategy of the brand, what the brand really is, how consumers are reacting with it physically, or when they see it in an Amazon page, or on a website, or in in store. And over the years, I found sometimes when we would hand the brand off to an advertising agency, they would have a completely different strategy than what this brand strategy was for the brand. And many times it failed, and sometimes it was successful. I felt that a branding agency with a really strong advertising component can carry everything that we developed forward and continue to tell the story. And so that's what we started to talk to clients about. And what they started to actually tell us was, like, we love your work. It's super buttoned up. You did such an amazing job on this, whether it's a big leap or a small leap. Like, you just maintain the brand's integrity, but also brought magic to it. Why don't we continue to develop the story? And so at the same time that we were hearing that, we were implementing advertising services. It's taken about 2 years to figure out the niche, cost, timing, how to be profitable, develop good, strong ad campaigns for the brand, not a brand asset. I don't believe that we're just creating an asset that's postable to a social media platform. I don't know what an asset is worth these days. I think maybe $3, right? You post it, it's up for a little while. Everyone consumes 6,000 videos that day, and they've moved on. I think a good solid ad campaign with a smart tagline, a structure to it, has legs that you can run for a year or two. And that's what we've been building for brands, is a really strong foundation that we continue to build on. So it's not one big ad where you're spending just a fortune and you hope it works. We're building brand-led advertising programs for our clients, and it's been working, and people keep returning for more ads, which has been really great. So it's more of an incremental build as opposed to one fat check and one big ad, and you get on your knees and pray and hope it does well.
Well, I'll tell you, John, listening to you explain and walk through that as you guys were doing all of your branding work and evolving, handing it off to another agency, just like football, that's a chance where a fumble can happen, right? Mm-hmm. And now you guys have developed the skill set and evolved your personnel, I'm sure, to be able to carry it through to that next level. So really interesting. And it was great to hear how thoughtfully you guys approached this evolution in your services.
Yeah, thank you. It's been an experience. Honestly, it evolves every week these days, and we're staying nimble. We want our clients, we want all of the brands we work with and brands that we don't work with to come to us to develop advertising for branding, because I think brands deserve it, and I think it's been overpriced for many years. And I think creating an agency, a portion of our agency that can deliver, in many cases, we just finished another one today, a TV quality animated ad for a brand. It runs on Friday, which is very exciting. And it'll be across all television CCT channels. They can run it on TV if they've got the budget. And that's what we're creating. It's not just a piece they can post to an Instagram or a social media platform like a TikTok. It's a full-fledged campaign.
That's Great. Awesome. I love that. So John, tell our audience, for the brand founders and brand and leaders that are just getting started working with an agency, what are some of the watch outs that you would, tell one of these newbies, so to speak, on as they hire an agency?
Yeah. I know it's hard to find an agency. A lot of brands are grassroots. They start with the founders or one or two people. They've got a good idea. They, I think they're, using a little bit of clip art, and their aunt used to be an illustrator, and they put some packaging together. And
we've never heard this before.
No, I was going to say, we've never heard any of this, John. Never.
You look at Burt's Bees, you look at all these great brands, right? And they, Ben and Jerry's, these are great brands, right? And they grew over the years, and we love what they did. And I think people can get to it a little bit faster these days. Of course, they're using AI, and it might pump something out, and they're like, wow, this is it, right? I don't think they're doing enough due diligence for the brand. Like, we do massive global brand audits, right? So we know everything that's happening out there in the category, just outside of the category, and then maybe in categories people haven't really thought of that might touch it, where we can explore or expand. You're not going to really get that, unless you're thinking that way. So I would say, I think a lot of agencies are chosen on their portfolio. They may see a great website or a portfolio of work. I've owned an agency now for 25 years in November. I'll be 25 in November. And, some of the agencies might use a great freelancer who doesn't actually work for the agency at all, right? And does fantastic work. Or they might have a portfolio of work that's stunning, that maybe a little bit was done in-house, a little bit was done with, freelancers. That's great. But for the brand hiring the agency, what's the day-to-day experience when you've got to send 10 or 20 emails and fix back panel information, right? You need proper production files made for your printer. You need people to work with your printer. You need someone to go on press and manage it. You need them to handle afterwards. And so you might get this pretty looking package, but then what, right? Do they, maybe they don't have great account managers in place that really know how to work with clients? Because, we have fantastic account managers that work with an expansive array of clients with all different personalities. And we always put our clients first. They are first. And no matter what they're asking for, how many revisions they need, we do it and we make it work for them. We figure it out. Not sure you're going to get that from every agency. You might get like something that looks good and then you might be left in the dust, or they might not know how to really communicate. And then honestly, a year down the road, sometimes you got to go back to that agency for something, right? And you want a good relationship there. You want a partner. And so I think that's the difference that we've had. I've had clients that are still working with me today, 25 years later, since the first week I started the business.
That's awesome.
And it is so cool to work with them. We've grown together. People don't tend to really leave us. They stick around. They like what we do. We're a really friendly agency. We try to be as cutting edge as possible without losing our marbles on your brand, and we care for it. And as Bruce, we've got great people like Richard, Crystal, Pam. We've got really, really good people in place, and we've stood the test of time. We're seasoned, and honestly, at this point, we've won all the awards. We just want to work each day with a good group of people we really want to get on the phone with, we want to meet in person and spend time with. That's what's really important to us. So choose people you really like. I would tell them, choose people that you really like and are going to be there for the long run.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. So this next topic is actually addressed to Professor Nunziato. So tied to the previous, John, can you discuss the risk a brand takes and the danger they put themselves in if they walk away from their strategy and jump to implement something that just really catches their eye and it's cool, but it is, to your point earlier, it's just maybe a little too far out there? How do you walk them back?
How do we walk back? You mean if someone?
Well, again, not necessarily. You guys probably wouldn't let them get that far out on the limb, but if you're giving counsel to these small emerging brands, maybe starting to work with their same agency, they've gone through the blood, sweat, and tears of developing a strategy they feel good about, but then a piece of creative's put in front of them that's just, maybe it's eye-catching, maybe it's really kind of out there, but it is clearly not on strategy. How would you say, folks, calm down?
Yeah.
I think it reminds me of a brand I worked on back in the day called Summer's Eve, who would come to us just to add a SKU and tweak a label. And I went back to them and said, we could do that. We could do that for you. But I think there could be an opportunity here. I think that if there's two ways, I think you can evolve a brand far enough away from where it is, where it can look and feel considerably different. But you make that decision based on how the brand is currently doing, right? Let's just say it's completely tanking. It's tanking. You lost the market. You thought you had a good market. Make a change, right? Go for it. It's, I don't think anyone's going to get upset because, no one's buying it, right? They're not interested in it. You might have a great product. Maybe you took a shot at it and made a mistake. It's no big deal. Life's short. Change it, right? If you've got something that's working for you and you've got a good audience and you see something that's, hey, this is cool, right? I wasn't expecting this. This is unique. I think they can get ahead of it, right? I think that if hey, we're going to make this change, and you're gonna really get to think with, trying to use words that everyone understands, get together with your team and discuss pros and cons of this shift. talk with the retailers, distribution partners. Hey, we're looking to make this change, right? I would get some advice for some people, get from your distributors, from your retailers, put it in front of them and say like, hey, the brand's doing okay, right? But, we think we identified a niche. We'd like to go here. I mean, they're going to be on your side, right? Like I'm in meetings with people and I've got owners of the company, creative directors and Walmart. And then I have design attorneys sitting there half the time, right? I call them design attorneys who are making the decisions these days. And so expand you know what I mean. Expand your group, right? Like get some advice from some trusted people who really know the market. And they may be like, this is a disaster. Don't do that, right? Or you know what? It's worth a shot. Let's go for it. So I would say just don't make the decision on your own. Get some advice on that and move forward. I got my little son in here. Well, I'm on a call. You got to.
Well, he's got some advice for it.
I'm literally on a podcast.
There's a first.
Pete's having a cat.
Now, was that an unexpected edit disaster?
No, not disaster, but editable.
No, that was awesome.
I love it.
That is awesome.
Get some advice from really qualified people if you're going to make a huge change.
Well, that's good. You had in our pre-call, you had a really great line, which you just articulated even better. You said there is an art of saying no to cool stuff that doesn't serve the brand. So everything you just said, talk to all the, gosh, I hate the word stakeholders, but all the people that are involved, because somewhere along the line, you want everyone in the boat with you and not on the dock throwing rocks that, you didn't ask enough questions. Yeah. So thank you for that color around that topic.
And Bruce, one other thing, which I told client, if they've got a package or a package and a logo that looks a certain way, and you're thinking about evolving, the great news is you have asset development these days. So you can start to see the look and feel in some of your asset development, meaning like the images you might post to like Instagram or things you might put on a website paired with your brand that has a look and feel. So you can almost get ahead of that and seed it, the look and feel you're looking for through like graphics and visuals. And if the response is good, that's a soft way in to evolve the packaging graphics.
Yeah. So folks, what John's talking about there, another way to put it is that's kind of a stealth test market. Take some things that are a little lower risk and put it out there and see if there's any blowback, or if everyone's like, dang, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. Of course, I know that's still the XYZ brand.
Yes.
Tracy?
Yeah. So what I really thought was really cool, John, you were just talking about your team and that you've had a lot of clients, stay with you over the years. And that really speaks to the relationship that you have with, your team and your clients. So talk to the new brand founders and brand leaders about what does it look like to create a mutually beneficial relationship between your client and your team? What should a new guy, new brand founder know about creating that relationship with you guys and your team?
Yeah. Meet them in person. Meet everyone in person. You've got to do that. There's nothing like an in-person meeting and the energy in the room when you meet people. I feel like that whether it's small entrepreneurial clients, a father and daughter creating a brand, to or just larger corporate clients with brand teams, we try to make sure that we get on a plane, get in a car, meet each other, spend time together. I think from that initial meeting, you'll know whether or not you want a relationship with this person. It's really hard over a Zoom or a call. It's just different. Like, I don't mind that for this or for, I had meetings this morning, quick Zooms on PDP. Well, I almost said acronym, primary display panel, right? The front of a package, what we needed to tweak. We're looking at like our final 2 logos, how the communication is going to work in their hierarchy size. They've got wraps in hand that we sent them. We're looking at visuals together, but we've met each other before, right? So we've got that connection and energy. You've got to put the time in the travel and see people from both sides. It's really important. Um,
Great
and
advice.
yeah, and watch outs, I think you can tell from, if you're a good judge of character, you can tell from meeting someone whether they're going to be there for the long run, right? Are they just like, let's say you've got this really cool emerging brand, and I know I can do some like amazing design on that. Not your typical like CPG packaging, but maybe it's more out there, right? More unique, or it's more minimal or more abstract, or where you can really go hog wild on it and create something that no one's ever seen before. Yeah, we love to do that. We love doing that type of work for people. But we want to be known as the agency that we didn't just create something and then give you a little pat on the tush and say, good luck, come back if it breaks, right? We want to be there through the growth of the brand. They're like little babies, like we set them off to stale, right? Like we don't want to see it disappear. We want to be there and help you. So if you let's say things happen quickly and you need some help, you need expansion, you need us to be there for whatever it is. I think you want those people on your team. You want a strong team. And I know people want to get in and out, right? Like I've got a brand, I'm a brand owner, I have a team of 3 people, and I just want an agency to make a good looking package design. And I don't actually want a relationship after that. Like we're just going to handle it. That's totally cool. Like if you're looking for that, hire a freelancer or a really small agency. I was a small agency. It was just me for a long time. And I did great work and handed it off to people. And I think that's cool. So I think if you're looking for that, hire that person and then manage the brand yourself. But if you know that the trajectory of the brand is going to be evolutionary and you'll be adding to it and building it out, really try to find like a sweet partner that you trust that's just going to get behind it and help you. You're going to need help if you're starting a brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
So John, I know we just talked about, having a little commercial courage to try some things without potentially risking the whole brand. But can you take a little time and talk about the importance of the consistency of look and feel of creative assets of a brand across platforms or environments, so that people still know it's the same brand company and it doesn't look like Amazon was done by this agency, the package was done over here,
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
how's that roll?
I mean, it's a talent these days. We have to stay super current on all platforms, everything from your Amazon page and the assets, rules and regulations, what need to work there on all the social media platforms. We didn't have that back in the day, right, Bruce? Like we designed a package, we sent it to the printer, we crossed our fingers and hoped it looked good when it got to shelf. You saw it on shelf, you cried because things changed, and that was it. And then that was the life of it, right?
Right.
Now, we're finishing up a brand and we're already midstream developing assets for them. So we're developing everything from their landscapes and 916s and 1x1s and 4x5s and stuff they need for their website and animation and storytelling and voiceover, sound design, music. Like you need all of that, even if you're not doing an ad campaign. So it's a talent. It's knowing where your social channels overlays, where they land. I can't tell you how many times I've seen ads on TikTok and people like they're not working with an overlay, right? They don't know that you have a tiny little spot, that's where your ad's going to live, right? So I think that is you're hiring an agency either for that purpose. You can hire a digital agency which might understand all the rules and regulations and have no taste. Or you can hire a brand agency that knows the rules and regulations and has taste, right? So whether we've developed the brand and assets with you, or you're just a brand that's like, man, I've always wanted to do some advertising and I have all these assets and they're sort of organized. Can you help? I think it's respecting what was and has been created for the brand, learning about it, asking the right questions, getting all of the information. And then what we tend to do is And people might not have a brand book made, right? A lot of brands, they just haven't gotten there. They might not need it. We can help them do that. We can establish what their colors are going to be across all the different mediums they need to be in, sizes and dimensions and fluidity and sizes of files. How are these video motion files going to work if they're too large, right? Or what do we back off on simple things like frame rate? Like a lot of people just don't understand a lot of the nuance there. So we work with a lot of editors, animators, our in-house design team, and we will work collectively with our client to help educate each other and move all of the assets they're going to need to a place where it looks hyper consistent. So when the consumer interacts with the brand in an ad on their phone, and then they order the product and they receive it at their home, the brand experience is consistent. Then they go to their Instagram or their Amazon page or their website. It's the storytelling, the language, the color palettes are all consistent and work across all the different mediums, but feel as one cohesive unit. And that is just talent and experience. There's no other way I can describe that. You've got to be in it and make all the mistakes and learn from those mistakes, and then have that talent moving forward, right? There's no other way to get there except through or hire a good agency that's already made those mistakes on other brands in the future. Other brands in the past, so hopefully you don't make them in the future.
That makes sense.
One of the reasons consistency is so important, it was explained to me once that each exposure to anything about a brand is another imprint for that brand. So why would you want someone trying to figure out if these four things that are sort of close is the same thing? So maybe that was a bad explanation, but it's always stuck with me, the importance of removing some doubt and uncertainty. Is that what I've saw before? Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Don't know, and that's the other thing is just don't overpromise. I mean, you can do a lot in digital, which is like really beautiful these days, whether it's like static or motion imagery. And still in the end, when that product shows up, you pick it up off the shelf, it's just kind of sitting there, right? It's got, if it's a package brand, it's there. If it's a born in digital brand, it might have a little bit more life to it, right? Because it's not a physical product that's sitting on a shelf or gets delivered in a brown box to your house.
Right.
Yeah.
Tracy?
So John, we talked a little bit earlier on about building that relationship between your team and the client. So like in any relationship, sometimes there's going to be some bumpy roads. So talk to our audience a little bit about there's a little bump in the road, and what's best practices for addressing that so you're not poisoning the whole well, but things need to be said, and we all need to act like adults and make sure that we can move forward. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I think when agency and client, whether it's a really small client, and we've worked with, brands where there's one owner, there's one person, two people. And then of course we've worked with huge, brand teams, global brand teams. I think the way we approach it, the way I've always approached this is, if you're looking to hire an agency as a business to help you design, develop your brand, then we're not the place for you. If you're looking to partner with somebody who's going to support the brand's mission and growth and be a real part of the creation or evolution, then we're the place for you. So, for instance, my daughter says to me, "How come you don't have red receipts on your phone open, Dad? Like whenever you don't have that, I can't see." And I was like, I text with my clients all day long, right? Like, so people have my mobile number. If they see something cool in the wild that we've been trying to get our head around, they'll text it to me, right? So I'm working with clients all day long, right? Literally, like you wouldn't expect that there's a lot of agencies and it's very formal and it's through emails and there's 19 people on there. Like I'm dying in emails. Like I'm tired of getting emails. Call me on a phone and talk to me. Shoot me a quick text, right? Hey man, I saw this. What do you think? Wow, it's really cool. By the way, this other brand looks just like it. Done, right? We're not going there. So just work faster and more personal with people. So it's less client agency when you work with us. It's more partnership, friendship, because we're going to be in it with you. So I think that hopefully this is answering the question, but I think that you got to have trust in the people that you hire, that you're hiring,
Right.
and develop a relationship where you can shoot a quick email off. I mean, I can't tell you how many, CEOs, heads of companies that just email me during the day, right? Like, this idea popped into my head and you sent this over. I saw it from your team. What do you think? And it's not to a whole group, right? It's just to me. And then I can tell them candidly, it looks like a dog's dinner. I would never do it, right? And then they can be like, all right, yeah. So I think there's that part. But when you answer the question about the snafus that happen, I think it's more open communication rather than allowing it to build over time and building resentment with the agency or the client. You just have to get to it fast, man. Just be like, hey, look, you guys sent this over and I didn't feel like you were really listening to me. And that's why we have account managers in place who are just, I wouldn't do that with the designers. I think designers tend to get like a little bit territorial and defensive about their work. I think our account management team, our new business team can step in and, they'll say, hey, if there's something that goes wrong here, like you don't feel like it's working, like just come to me. And we've had clients come to us and be like, were you guys on the call with us? Like with like what we got just doesn't feel like you were listening. Sometimes I think through Zooms and calls, there's a lot of miscommunication. It doesn't happen when we're in person. It really feels like a Zoom glitch these days. And the thing is if we make those mistakes, we say like, yeah, you're right, that we made that mistake. It's on us. We're going to fix it right now. What time do you need it? And then we just make it happen.
That's great.
Well,
I love that.
I think, John, the key of what you said is, building the relationship from the beginning and having that level of trust where if we're working together and you're in your role and I might be a client, if you thought that I did or said something that was a little too abrupt, that you could just call and say, Bruce, what was that? And
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to handle it, because what you said, which I've seen so many times, is there's an issue that's not that big, but people let it marinate. Or Bruce is like, I'm going to wait for John to call me. And John's like, I didn't even know anything was wrong. And all of a sudden, Bruce's blood pressure is 1,000,000 over 2,000,000 and no one knows why. Hell, Bruce doesn't even know why, because it wasn't that big a deal, but 2 weeks have gone by.
Yeah.
So I thought that counsel of just, if you have those bridges built, they're easier to cross, man.
They are. And
Okay.
you got to really know your client too. Just if you've got like an old school headliner, don't talk forever, right? They're not interested in it. They don't want to hear it. They want to get to the point. Understand that like people of different age groups, they just speak to each other differently. So if you're in a room with generational gaps, you've got to find a space and understand, hey, some of our older brand managers will just be like, I mean, I've seen this 100 times, right? Like they'll literally say that to you. Whereas, someone who's a newbie will be like, oh, it's kind of nice. Like, right, they haven't been around long enough. So try not to take it personally. If you really feel like you're supporting an idea, try to get behind it and just talk honestly about it.
Oh, I think that's great. All right, John. So here's a fun one for you. So sometimes when we get to topics like this, we always say, oh, if you don't want to, don't name the brand. But since this is positive, knock yourself out. So over the course of your career, can you give the audience an example of a really good demand creation action a brand took in their early growth stage? And you're like, whether you guys thought of it or you just witnessed it from afar, where you're like, that was good.
Man, that is a tough one. There are so many. I think, I was really impressed by the brand Hoka, the shoe brand, the sneaker brand.
Mm-hmm.
I in a category where you have Nike, right? These unlimited Adidas, right? All these incredible brands, New Balance, right? Like, who needs another shoe? Like, really, honestly, I mean, there are so many brands out there. I thought they took a chance, right? Just the way they went after a certain market that just, I'll be honest with you, as you get older, you're like, your feet hurt, right? It's just going to happen. I don't care who you think you are, it's probably going to happen to you. Um, I thought that brands over the years have done some really good job, like Nike innovating like sports. They did really good job with that. But I don't think there are any really great brands that went after, more comfort. And you know what? Yeah, our shoe looks a little wonky, right? It had like the really thick sole on it, but it stood out. And I started to see them around and I was thinking, what are these things about? It looks like you're walking on a giant cushion, right? Like, I'm going to try it. And, it was nice being a couple inches taller, right? That was cool. I'm gonna take that. Um, and style wise, they're okay, but they didn't give up. What I thought was nice is they kept at it, and then I slowly started to see them get populated, and then they became fine and popular and somewhat trendy. And I have seen nothing but brands follow them. So now all the major brands have thick soles and extra thick soles, right? And they're enhancing it and developing their own way. But I really feel like they took what could have been like kind of an ugly sort of aging comfort shoe and took the technology, developed something that was more usable and somewhat aesthetically okay. And I feel like they started the market, and the market's absolutely boomed for comfortable shoes.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
So I'm impressed with the brand.
That's a great example.
Well, we're rounding third and heading home here, John. So tell us who's had the greatest influence on your career and what they did to have that influence.
Yeah. I think that, I don't know the cross section of people you talk to, but would think it's just some great designer. But I have to be honest with you, it's my accountant. It's like he's not only has he become like, I consider him my father, but honestly, as someone who started the business on their own, and I was on my own for many years. And when I started the business, I had a time schedule where I woke up and I did new business in the morning. Whether you liked it or not, you were getting a call from me. It's like, and I was relentless, right? And then I would put that down, and then I would do some account management. And then I would design during the day, and I would do production at night. So I did all those jobs because I didn't have help. And I would start the next day. The one thing I couldn't do and I wasn't very good at was managing the finances of the business. And honestly, I don't care who you are. If you're trying to start a small design agency, you're not going to make it without a good accountant. And I mean somebody who's really on your team working with you. So I did go through some people over the years. Luckily, I landed on my accountant who I absolutely love. He's been with me forever. And honestly, he taught me the talent of money and how to push and pull and spend at the right times and take chances and pull back and hold, and just how to work with what you have through all of the ups and downs of a business. Because I don't care how good of a designer you are, I don't care how good you are at Photoshop, if you can't keep the lights on each month.
Yeah, it's kind of a key component.
Yeah, it's a major component, and it is a ride to be with. So to be with someone you really trust, love, supports you, it listens to your ideas and figures out how to find the dollars to make those things happen, especially being a gut-driven person. When I feel like it's time to do something and my gut tells me I need to figure out how to do it and how to get the money to do that. So props to him. He's my guy.
All right. Well, it's your choice if you want to actually name him, unless you don't want him getting recruited away or getting too busy to take care of John Nunziato.
I've been sworn to silence.
Okay. John, I had to try. All right, John. So perhaps the most important question of our discussion: who is your favorite sports team, band, or brand? And I know you can't name brand because you work on so many. And why do you support them? if it's a band or brand or a sports team,
I
what
got it.
gives you go?
Okay. All right. So this is funny, but so I've always, since I was a kid, been a Miami Dolphins fan because of the color palette. There were some great players on that team too over the years,
Oh yeah.
but I don't know, man. There's just something to the teal blue and orange and the white. It just makes me feel good, you know. I wish they were playing better this year.
Yeah.
But I love the brand, and I kind of, I wish they would evolve the look and the mark a little bit, and I kind of wish they would call me to do that work. So I'm available. If Miami Dolphins need some work, they know where to come. Um,
Love that.
Band is hard. Band is a little bit rogue. I'm a huge music person. I go to concerts, some fantastic concerts all the time. But man, I love this band from the 2000s called Hum. And it was just the style of music, the way they played together. I'm a self-taught drummer. I think the drummer is just it's unbelievable. I think they had some difficult problems moving forward. It's more of like a hard rock sound. I know that's not in style much anymore, but when I need to like dig deep, when I need some like energy, I listen to these guys and I just think like, man, I don't know, the way they put it together, they became something. I think one of the piece of their songs was used, the most famous they ever became when a piece of their song Stars was used by the Cadillac brand. And and I thought these guys like finally got some recognition. They're going to grow, and the whole band just sounds like they got into a fight, and then they didn't talk to each other for years. But I think the last couple of years they're back together, and so I love to go see them. And I think as far as brand it is really hard, right? Like brand like a Hoka that I think that I admire, but I'm going to say, and I say that I'm just going to say that this is not a cop out, but I think the brand, the LBB brand, to me has always it's a brand that I've admired for 25 years. And the reason why I admire our brand is because we never put a stake in the ground and said, like, this is our brand color, this is our brand logo, right? I've never had a brand color. I felt that we should be all about like all the colors. We should be trendsetters. Our office isn't about a brand look and color. If you've been to our office, it's all about furniture and height and materials and feel and touch and lighting. That's what's really most important to me. I like the build, and then the people that have come on, that we've bought on, the people who have reached out to us to work at LBB is what makes me admire the brand so much, because our staff, the people that I work with, they are just so awesome. Like we really do have just the coolest people. And whether they've been people who've worked for the agency and moved on and left, like just seeing all of them, that they're still friends. They're still friends outside of work. They still get together. They all love each other. It just makes me feel so proud that we created an agency where people really love each other. It's not just a transient brand agency that's, I was at some of those. You worked there and you knew a couple of people and you moved on, right? They just sort of churn and burn people. I've always felt like it's a place where if you came to us with really good talent and we do good work together, you got a job for life. Like I like to have people around for a long time, for as long as they want to be at the agency. So I admire the brand that we've developed for 25 years, and it has had its ups and downs for sure. But we're still here. We're still kicking.
I love it.
Well, that's great. The LBB Alumni Association sounds strong and something people are proud to be part of. So, John, thanks so much for your time today. Tell the folks how people can either get in touch with you or learn more about your firm. And I'll put in a call to Stephen Ross at the Miami Dolphins and let him know you're available. He might want you to coach the team, though.
I would appreciate that. I'm on board. You can find me on LinkedIn. Of course, I'm there. You can visit our website, littlebigBrands.com. And we've also got a link in there. It's hello@littlebigBrands.com. You can reach out, connect. We'll get the email. We'll love to connect with people. I'm always looking for great people, new clients, entrepreneurial ideas. please feel free to reach out.
Love that.
That's great. All right, Tracy, the big finish.
The big finish. John, thank you so much for joining us today. This was great, insightful. I know our audience is going to really love it. And so, audience, thanks for joining us today. Continue to follow us on Spotify, on Apple, wherever you listen to your podcast, as well as LinkedIn. We post every Tuesday. And also check out our website, which is www.road2retail.com. And thanks again. Great to see you, Bruce. Thank you, John.
Good
for
luck
joining
out
us.
there, folks.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank
Thanks,
you, John.
Tracy.